Here I am like a dummy thinking I'm recording, all giving free sponsorship to Crest. Had this thing in my mouth, was waiting for for it to stop so I could start speaking. But what it is, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form sponsoring them. This is not a sponsorship, but for anybody out there who's in the mood to brighten their teeth, I had found this little device at the store. What it does is you have this paste and then this little brush, and you brush, the whitener, evenly coated on your teeth. And I don't know how many of you guys have had root canals done where they've put a crown on it, and then they put this little light, and it's supposed to harden the glue to make that just stay there. That would be my guess, even though I've never really asked. That's just my guess. But I'm thinking this kind of has the same effect with the whitener because it is bright as heck, and this little thing goes in your mouth from Crest. And after about 3 minutes, it'll go off. You just like that. After you put, you have the whitener on and everything. 3 minutes later, it goes off. And you know, I'm gonna be honest. Out of all the whiteners I've tried, in 1 week I've gotten better results from that little thing than any other medicine, any other whitener that I've ever tried. So if you guys are looking to do that, I would suggest giving that a shot. Like I said, I'm not sponsoring them. I ain't getting shit from talking about them. I'm just saying it's a good product, and I'll give shout outs to good products. Anyways, so for the past week or so, I've been going over David Politis with Mr. Ballin, narrating his stories on the missing 411 cases. And, you know, I haven't, I don't even think we've touched the surface of strangeness yet because there is a certain one in there that I recall vividly. And you know how, because I own a cabin in Grand Lake, Colorado, owned a cabin in Grand Lake, Colorado. It was, yeah, wildfires burnt it to the ground. But we own property out in Grand Lake, Colorado, good chunk. And there's a nice little beautiful town there and all these activities to do on the lake. Since the fire, they haven't done it, but what they used to do on the 4th of July is they would launch fireworks from the middle of the lake. The lake's so large, and none of the embers are, going to be, um, jeopardize any of the surrounding, woods because it was always so dry for like the last 10 years. Now, mind you, the lake went down just a little bit, but it didn't affect it to the point where it was like really, really down. But the property and everything, it was like everybody's worst fear. Like, we need to get some rain. We get heavy snow. I mean, everywhere there has metal roofs because the snow's so heavy, but it just never seemed like enough. And when that fire occurred at Rocky Mountain National Park, once it crested over that mountain, it's like it sucked because it took out some homes, but not every home. And just my luck, it took out my cabin. And that was the cabin my stepfather had left to me. Um, I mentioned this a few times. You could probably see him at a bus stop and like stop and give him $1, and he'd look at you like, "Why don't you have a seat with me here? Let's drink a beer." That was his personality. But the dude was so good with money that you wouldn't imagine how much money he had until you actually seen what he had. He dressed like a bum. He even came. I hate talking about this, but he even came to my wedding just like in a flannel and like uh, shorts, I think, or something. I'm like, oh my god, dude. But the cabin he built, 12,000 square foot, with the 10 car garage on the bottom. He owned about maybe 7 cars, four skidsters, uh, two backhoes, um, several trailers. I can't even remember. And there's my mom just giving them away to everybody, like, oh, here you could take, oh, here you could have this. And she's a very giving person. And that's where we get it from. Well, my brother, not so much. I thought my brother might have caught on to that, but he never did. But without straying too far from the point, is that being up there, they're used to living that mountain life, and they might see us as city slickers. You guys are city folk. So, what they catch on audio is so perplexing that you cannot see these men who live in the mountains, in small towns, ever coming up with something like they recorded. And they even filmed these guys later on in life, and they all have that, that Western drawl kind of sound. I mean, they're not stupid. Excuse me there, I had to clear my throat. They're not stupid, but you just would not expect them to come up with something so just out of the ordinary. It's really mind blowing. So once we get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's an equally cool story that I wanted to share with you guys. Um, Whether you choose, I would suggest at least trying to stick through the first season um, of how they do this. It's quite interesting, to say the least. It's not a movie, I can guarantee you that. But what it is I don't know. You guys can make your own judgment call on that one. You may have seen it, you may have heard of it, but it is extremely intriguing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this one. There's so many different ones that you could choose from. Um, what it turns out to be, and I don't know if many of my listeners or subscribers or non subscribers really know much about ARGs, but it stands for Alternative Reality Game. It started back when the internet, like, first started hitting households. And this is back when, I mean, God, what, like, the smart computer dudes like Steve Wozniak and people like that are, having to type in, a command and then, run, enter, prompt to enter. So they have all these, that's where it kind of began. A lot of people kind of feel like that's where, even though, I can't get in the big old debate because I really don't know 100% about it, but I know a lot of the Jersey Devil stuff was part of an ARG as well. Not all of it, because I know it dates back, years and years, but um, a lot of these ARGs that hit are just, they're crazy. Um, and so this one really compelled the living crap out of me. When I first heard it, I was like, just entrenched into it. I'm like, I did not want to like stop watching. So give this a listen because it's actually pretty damn cool.
Panic is taking hold on the nation in response to the sudden disappearance of the sun, with violent riots taking place in just about every major city.
You'll notice CNN Live.
We are receiving an influx of reports of ransacking and looting from New York, Chicago, Los Angeles.
On May 19th, 1780, a day of darkness fell over New England and parts of Canada. This strange phenomenon was believed to have been caused by a combination of smoke, fog, and cloudy weather, the darkness being so severe that it was said that candles needed to be used even during the middle of the day. Recently, a Twitter account by the name of The Sun Vanished has been tweeting a story highly reminiscent to this event. The following is what it's posted so far. April 30th. Help. It's late in the morning and it's still dark outside. I can hear the tornado sirens in the next county over, but the weather radar is clear. Where is the sun?
This afternoon, panic is taking hold on the nation in response to the sudden disappearance of the sun, with violent riots taking place in just about every major city. We are receiving an influx of reports of ransacking and looting from New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Washington, D.C. A more isolated incident coming hourly. The president made a public statement this morning urging people to remain calm and stay in their homes. Meanwhile, experts are claiming this phenomenon to be an event similar to New England's dark day in 1780, and that things will return back to normal.
The power keeps going out, and I keep hearing noises outside. Sometimes far away, sometimes close. I can't sleep. I think the noises outside are gunshots. May 1st. It's still dark. The news said it would be back to normal by now, but it isn't. Now the news isn't even coming on. The TV signal is gone. The noises keep happening outside, and I can barely keep track of the time anymore. I am honest to God terrified. I'm so tempted to go outside. Should I? So I went outside. I saw something out there that I can't really explain, but I can show you.
Last thing I'm doing is carrying a flashlight like that bright. You know what I mean? If you're thinking like you're hearing shit, yeah, I mean all that's gonna do is draw attention to you. In fact, I got this. You know what? You're not a real man until you buy flashlights, all right? I'm sorry, ladies. It's just, if you have a man, you know how he is. He is going to buy some flashlights that are just, going to outdo his buddies. And this flashlight I got almost got me in a fight one night because these guys thought I was flashing it their way, and I wasn't. I mean, they're night fishing, and I'm just going on my nightly walk to get my exercise in, to burn my calories. And this light doesn't really go into a good beam. It goes more or less into, it just, is a big, wide, bright light. And so as I'm coming around, one dude's like, hey, would you mind not flashing that light towards the lake? You're going to scare the fish. And I'm like, I wasn't shining the light at you. I said, it just happens to be a wide, a wide light, it doesn't really focus. And I was talking to him just like how I'm saying it. He's like, well, yeah, you fucking better not be shining at us. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let that slide, whatever. So I only turn it on like at the dark parts, because for the most part it's pretty well lit. But then there are corners, where it gets real dark, and so then I would turn it on. And right by where they're fishing, I guess they had moved because I didn't see them, but, right near the dark spot, I turned it on again. And the dude is like, didn't I tell you? And he comes up to me, and I don't think he realized that I'm nearly 6'5", because he came up, the top of his head was like up here to me. Now, I'm not saying height means anything, but, you know, I used to box, and I told the story many a times. First two matches, I got knocked out in the first round because I thought, oh, my size and this and that, you know, I got this. And I got my ass kicked the very first two fights I ever, you know, was in Golden Gloves. After that, I learned how to box. Now, if you get a jiu-jitsu person or a wrestler, you know, yeah, I'm fucked if someone takes me to the ground. But, you know, if we're on our feet, you know, I'm not throwing a wildly like a drunken fight, you know. And so this guy comes up to me, and I said, dude, I'm like, do you really want to do this? I said, I'm not shining the light towards you whatsoever. I'm not trying to scare your fish. And I'm like the one who's like kind of being you know, trying to solve the problem rather than escalate it. And he's trying to escalate it. And so then I grab the flashlight and I shine it in his face. I said, you know what? I'm going to turn this light off, and I'm going to give you the decision. Go ahead and take your hardest fucking punch on me, but you better knock me out, because I swear to God, if you don't knock me out, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you and your friend who isn't saying a damn word. And then he backed off. That's how bright this light was. It was causing so much goddamn attention that it almost got me like in a fight with two guys at night fishing. I never saw him again after that. And it's like, fuck, I come out here for a peaceful walk, you know, get to look up in the sky. You know, I love doing that, like, you know, at night, like looking at the constellations, and yeah, and they totally ruined my vibe. You know, that's my thing. You know, walk 5 miles a night, and I'm just like enjoying it, and this dude just wanted to be a dick. So yeah, I think this dude should turn off his light, because he's gonna piss off somebody. What I tell you, you're gonna piss off somebody with that light.
I looked for stars or planets, as you all suggested. The sky was absolutely pitch black. Could be because of the clouds or something else. Still shaken from the short time I was outside. I don't know what that flashing light was, but it was following me. May 2nd. Day 3. Still no sign of daylight. It's getting colder. A person just ran by on my street. 2 of the same flashing lights I saw yesterday were following him. They were gone by the time I got my phone out to record. May 3rd. Sorry, everyone. Reception went out yesterday. I was worried it wouldn't even come back on. No signs of activity outside. Come to think of it, it has been a while since I heard a gunshot. Something just flew over my house. I couldn't see it. Too dark outside, but a wave of heat just came over me. Feels like the temperature increased by like 10 or 15 degrees. Just compare the sound of this video to the sound of the helicopter footage I posted a few days ago. Whatever this was, it definitely was not a helicopter. One of my friends is still alive. He just texted me.
Check out this Verbo.
Oh, man. Michael, they're your cousin.
So for those of you who are new to the channel or first time watching this, I am an actor, and I just did 2 commercials for YouTube, and so everybody could attest, and you could watch all my older videos up until I done this commercial, that I've always had premium. I've never had commercials play, you know, never had to deal with that. But I'm not going to start up my premium again until I see those commercials play, because I'm kind of interested on when they're going to hit or come out. Unless they're like 2-minute commercials or some crap like that, you know, and they're 2 commercials back to back, I'll like just skip it. But if it's just like a short commercial, I'm just letting them breathe. So you have to forgive me for that. It's not that I don't afford or want to, you know, do premium. I always do premium, but I'm anxious to see this because, you know, the filmmakers itself, it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the company that that outsourced to the filmmakers to make the video. So, of course, they haven't shown, you know, me, the lead protagonist, or the 2 younger females that were in it. So, yeah, I'm just anxiously awaiting.
Look at me. Here I am. Right where I belong. I see that face coming back to me like an old familiar song. What better place could anyone be? 'Cause you're here with me. It's all I've been looking for and so much more. And now I'm here, now you're here. Nothing can go wrong 'cause I am right where I belong. And now I'm here, now you're here. Nothing can go wrong 'cause I am right where I belong.
Nope.
So, now we have another problem. This guy has been standing completely still with his back towards me. I have no idea how long he's actually been standing there. He's still standing there. Hasn't moved. So whoever was standing outside is gone now. So, to those of you asking, I am doing alright. Hiding in my room and waiting this out. Haven't heard any more knocking, but I don't want to get anywhere near the door to check. And don't worry, I do have a way to defend myself if worst comes to worst.
Not bad.
If anyone knows anything about what's going on, please message me. 911 and other emergency lines are not responding, and the only radio I have is the one in my car, so I'm trying to gather up as much information online as I can. This last post was from a few days ago, and since then, there have been several more updates from this account. I highly recommend checking it out for yourself, and maybe keeping an eye out for May 19th in case something special happens. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. So, if you're still here, then welcome to the post-show segment where you ask me questions and I do my best to supply answers.
So the next one I'm going to go to is Night Minds, and he's fairly popular when it comes to creepy stuff. So, and he does a thorough job on this.
This is it. The original Hero Hoodie Classic by Quick Flip. Medium weight French terry fab.
In 1780, and that things will return.
The account holder, who we'll call TSV, said the power kept going out and he was hearing noises. Gunshots are heard by May 1st. The newsfeed stopped coming in and the TV signal quit entirely shortly after. TSV asked the few followers he has at this point if he should go outside. The vote is an overwhelming yes. He reports, "I went outside. I saw something out there I can't really explain, but I can show you." TSV tells us he looked for stars or planets, but the sky was pitch black. All he could see was the red light flashing in the woods. May 2nd marks day 3. Still no sign of daylight. It is getting colder. A person just ran by on my street. 2 of the same flashing lights I saw yesterday were following him. They were gone by the time I got my phone out to record. On May 3rd, a new message comes, accompanied by video. "Something just flew over my house." I couldn't see it, too dark outside, but a wave of heat just came over me. Feels like the temperature increased by like 10 or 15 degrees. TSV manages to reach out to someone he knows at last and gets a response. It's his friend Danyan asking if he's alive. TSV responds and says that he's at home. Danyan is a 2 days drive away, but says he'll head over. After this, TSV reports in again. Now we have another problem. This guy has been standing completely still with his back towards me. I have no idea how long he's been standing there. TSV sends Danny the photo of the man outside. His reply is immediate. "Get away from the window. Keep all lights off. Do not talk to them or let them in. And if you see any flashing lights, hide." TSV looks out the window again. Whoever was standing outside is gone now. TSV stays hidden in the house for 2 days, letting followers know he'll be okay if things come to a fight, and again, asking if anyone knows anything or can help at all. Emergency lines aren't responding, and there's no getting to the radio. On May 5th, a direct message is received by a follower in British Columbia, telling him to never look into the red light. This is followed by a message from Danyan. "So, I have good news and bad news. Good news is I'm closer to you now. Bad news is I'm out of fuel. There are no active gas stations anywhere close to me. All of the power is down, and all of the gas stations nearby are electric gas pumps." "How far away are you?" "Probably still 8 or 9 hours away." Facing a difficult choice, TSV turns to the audience to ask what he should do. The majority votes by a slim margin to stay home. We find out shortly after this was probably the right call, as TSV writes, "Someone is screaming outside." TSV is no longer sure about leaving. He asks Danyan how he's able to avoid detection, to which Danyan replies, "I'm just staying in the car. It's locked and off at the moment. After I catch a few winks, I'm gonna try to take a look around." The only other note from that day was how quiet it became, and how the house warmed up after that thing flew over it. The next day, TSV reports, "I'm really surprised the power has stayed on for this long. Only a few outages here and there, but I'm still extremely paranoid that it will go out permanently any time now. I can see a faint light outside my bedroom window." going downstairs to check it out.
My ass is staying right put. Yeah, especially if I see some shit like, nope. I'm covering my eyes.
TSV survives this encounter and receives a message from Daniel asking what street they lived on when they were kids. TSV is confused, but does answer the question. I was looking around and just found this, Daniel says, sharing a photo of graffiti that reads, "Beware of headlights." TSV shares a moment of vulnerability with us next. Sometimes I feel like I have a good handle on this whole situation and I'm thinking rationally and logically, but other times I feel like bawling. Day 9. Sorry about that tweet last night. What happened at the window got to me a bit. Anyway, I'm currently in touch with a couple of people with some experience and some info on what's going on. Details soon. Screenshots are provided of direct messages from a man named Tucker living in Virginia. He had been working the night shift and was about to clock out when he realized the sun hadn't risen. He was heading out of town after riots broke out when he came across a man named Flynn, who described things that hunt people down. At first, he didn't believe Flynn, but crowds and traffic on the highway began dissipating until they were empty. Tucker and Flynn traveled together, finding places to hide and supplies, but a few days ago, he started losing his mind, talking nonsense and going on in that way non-stop. But one day it all stopped and he wouldn't speak, Tucker says. He just stood like a statue for probably a full 12 hours. Then he attacked me out of nowhere. I tried to keep him away, but he just wouldn't stop. I had to stop him. There was nothing else I could do. Tucker's been living on his own for a few days now, but finally caught a signal to get online. TSV thanks him for his story and promises to share it with his followers. Later, a message from TSV. I'm hearing noises outside again. Seven hours later, TSV says, "It's finally gone. I think I'm safe now. I have no idea how, but the front door is unlocked and wide open. The alarm never came on either. I guess it got reset during one of the blackouts." Some good news for once. Daniel is back. Before you all ask, he seems to be in his right mind. I need to get serious about securing my house. We receive photos of simple security measures, cups stacked outside a door and hanging cans. TSV is experiencing temperature drops and is running low on supplies, but Daniel reports in, claiming to have found a source of gasoline, a spot of hope in the darkness. TSV needs it, as we soon find out. Over the course of the last week, I've been increasingly paranoid about someone or something coming into my house while I'm sleeping, and I don't think it's one of those lights. It feels different. I can't explain it, but I can sense it. And last night, after I put cans on door handles, I've been waking up to clanging sounds, but I'm not certain if it's real or just my imagination. He places flour in front of a door. If it ends up disturbed at some point, he'll know for sure. Meanwhile, TSV receives a picture from the contact in British Columbia, showing a being inside their house without a headlight. He later says, "I had a nightmare about that picture. Just woke up to more screaming outside. I keep trying to record this."
If you guys are familiar with, I've always been, I wouldn't say enamored, but I've always liked the topic of, the unknown. And what happens to us before we, or not before, but when we pass on. I don't believe that we're there messing with door handles, opening cupboards, throwing shit around. I mean, that kind of sounds like a boring afterlife unless you want to, just play pranks on people. Which in that case, that might kind of be funny. Then you don't want to give somebody a heart attack and kill them, because then what if, something bad happens to you, even worse. But anyways, shadow people. That was such a big topic, and I don't know if you guys know who Art Bell is. Rest in peace. Awesome radio host. Started off as a political AM show, and just for some reason one day he mentioned UFOs, and then after that it just blew up into full-on conspiracy topics. And he started talking to specialists in fields, and this is before, like the very first ghost show I remember was TAPS, the Transatlantic Paranormal Society, and they really didn't catch very much, but it was interesting. It was the first show that people I remember starting to watch, and how ghost hunters became relevant I have no idea, because I've never seen I mean, this guy cracks me up, Zach Bagans. I'm not talking shit. But you see a board fly and a brick fly, and you sound like a 5th grader. Run, run. And that's what you're out looking for. It boggled my mind, and a lot of them still do it. The only group that I never see run away in fear are ghost hunters from the Middle East. They start praying to, their God Allah, and they keep on praying over and keep on repeating it over and over again. They see something, and I mean, they catch some crazy shit on camera, and they go running after it. And I mean, these guys are relentless. They have no fear. And I'm like, man, I wish I were like that. Because the first ghost hunt that I organized, I was the first one to bitch out. I'm like, nope, I'm done. But yeah, that looks like a straight up shadow person. Just your typical, typical ghost.
Screaming when I hear it, but the microphone isn't picking it up. I think the screaming is coming from the neighbor's house. Making matters worse is the screenshot of a check-in with Daniel, who responded far too strangely to a security question asking what year they graduated high school. TSV doesn't want to accept it, but his friend may have been compromised. Screaming outside continues, and Daniel checks in, saying he's a couple hours away and wants to know the address of the house. TSV asks followers if he should trust Daniel. The vote is overwhelmingly against, and TSV tries to get the security answer one more time. Daniel claims they don't have time for this, and it creates a mutual distrust. The only personal contact TSV had has now been severed, and after managing to get some sleep, he wakes up to a mess of flour in front of the door. It's time to run. His first stop is a neighbor's house, where he heard screaming. There's no one here now, but there is fresh food and water. Former survivors also left a note listing what they know about the enemy. And despite their current distrust, Daniel sends a message, telling TSV to stay low and get out of sight. In
the next 60 seconds, I'm going to show you how to naturally control blood sugar and naturally increase insulin sensitivity.
If he's still himself. The following day, whatever flew over the first house returns, and it stays in position. This thing is making sounds I've never heard before. The vibrations are shaking the house. TSV locks himself in the bathroom, where there's no window, and tries to sleep. He wakes up to a blue light spilling under the door. I just heard yelling, but this time it sounded like the person was in agony. It's just quiet now. The blue light is still here. When it finally disappears, the audience is given a choice. Leave the bathroom, or stay a bit longer. The choice to leave prevails, and TSV says he's trying his best to stay calm as he types, but he thinks he saw a body in the middle of the street. Several developments occur while TSV camps out. He discovers a diary from a survivor who got careless and looked into the red light. They reported feeling empty inside and claim that the sun came back. The contact from Virginia, Tucker, reports in, informing followers that he's alive and tells TSV to avoid the blue light. He witnessed someone running away, and when the blue light shined on them, well, it wasn't pretty. The body in the street disappears, and the water from the house TSV hides in turns dark. He's got enough clean water saved up to avoid drinking the contaminated water, though. Days later, we receive this. Guys, someone is at the window.
Nope. Oh, fuck.
They are in the house now. They're looking for me. Been hiding for 20 hours. I think they're gone. I need to check the house first. The majority votes to go upstairs.
Okay, so right there I have like a little problem with the story. You're hiding for 20 hours, but you need to check the house to make sure they left. Why not have confronted it? What if it's just, you know, standing in the corner very, very still, waiting for you to come out? Then what? So, I don't know.
TSV finds blood on a wall, and then catches a picture of the intruder before escaping. He locks her in the room she stands in, then goes to hide and tries to sleep. When he wakes up, the door is busted open.
You can't hear that? Uh-oh.
After the car horn, I heard a gunshot. Then, Danyan says hello. I found your Twitter. Is that you honking outside? And the gunshot? Yep. So we have the same problem as we had before. Can I trust you? At your 11th birthday party, I gave you a Batman Lego set. Is that good enough? Grab your stuff. Let's go. Weeks pass without word from TSV. When he does come back, he explains that Danyan drove them far out into the woods, where they set up a camp. They weren't in the range of cell towers for a while, so checking in wasn't possible. Danyan isn't a fan of TSV broadcasting their situation to the internet, but TSV argues that they have a chance to reach people who might be in the same situation. When a storm rolled in, they caught sight of this. On July 12th, Danyan takes the car to go find more fuel, but the next day, he's still gone. Days go by without his return, and a new flickering enemy approaches the tent. TSV asks the audience what to do, and they instruct him to leave. He follows the new enemy to a field of crops, which were 6 to 7 feet high. The entity was taller. TSV goes silent and does not return for 2.5 months. When he does, he says, I don't have much time, extremely low battery, but there's a car close by, I can see it. From what I can tell, the car door is open and dinging, meaning the keys are still in the ignition. Oh god, it's warm here. This is a hot spot, but it's my one ticket to getting my phone charged and getting away from here. Alright, I'm not in a cold spot yet, but where I am will do for now. The ships have certain identifiable flight patterns. You can tell where they tread often by the temperature of the area, hot spots. Where they don't go as often is much more safe, cold spots. After I powered off my phone to save the last little bit of battery juice, some followers of the Twitter account figured out where I was and came to rescue me. They brought me to their shelter and had food and clean water, so I decided to live with them for about 2 months. Then I think the flight patterns changed, and we got found out. And they didn't make it. That's why I've had to learn how to evade the ships on my own for the last few weeks or so. There's something that I've been avoiding talking about. When Danyan left, he said he would come back, but he never did. He basically left me for dead out there in the woods. I didn't really say anything here, but I was so angry at him. I couldn't believe I trusted him. But when I turned my phone back on, I got a flood of texts from him. Danyan apparently tried to call TSV, but the calls never came through. He apologized for the way he acted and how he left him there, that he was scared and didn't know what to do. Because of what he knew, he got in trouble with some people who threatened to kill him if he didn't tell them what they wanted to know. He wishes for the way things were, the simpler times, before they moved away from each other, and leaves a set of coordinates for TSV to meet him, if both of them are still alive. There's something else that I haven't told you all, TSV says. I neglected to mention it because I had no idea what I saw or heard, but now I have actual proof. About a month ago I saw one of the ships flying nearby and, after a loud noise, it suddenly exploded and then came crashing down. Honestly, at the time I thought I was hallucinating or something, but now I'm fairly certain I wasn't. That's definitely not one of the ships. That's a jet. TSV sets off for the coordinates, seemingly emboldened by the knowledge that people are fighting back, but goes silent for over a month. When he returns, he writes about seeing Danyan in a dream, which may have been a memory, and mentions how he feels he may already be too late. He hasn't heard from him. Something feels off, but he can't place why. That's when his followers tell him he's been gone for a month. TSV believes it's only been a week. I don't remember how I got here, he writes, not noticing an extra letter in his statement. A few days pass and Tucker comes online, trying to get through to him. Something is keeping me here, he says. I try to leave, but I just come right back. I don't know what to do. Through circumstances that we aren't shown, TSV manages to break the spell, though he does provide a very strange photo, showing a light in the sky and what looks like another ship. Was he being held by an automated alien craft? There's no time to theorize. TSV continues on to Danien's coordinates, a long journey that takes him through the city. He manages to scavenge for supplies and gets lucky, but narrowly escapes an ambush of possessed people who break his arm as he gets into the car. The instructions of his followers help him treat the injury, and through the changing of winter into spring, TSV journeys on, headed to the coordinates. And when he arrives, there's nothing. He waits, but receives no contact. What's more, his broken arm isn't any better. My veins surrounding the broken part are swelling and getting darker, I guess. TSV leaves the scene, and then shares a photo. This car has been following me for the past 10 minutes. Danien sends a message. Pull over. We just want to talk. This isn't Danien, but he is safe. Please pull over and let us talk to you. I was expecting a bunch of looters. Of course, they still had firearms, but they were very civilized. There was a man and a woman among the group. They seemed to be the ones in charge. They were using Danien to get to me, against his will. That's why he discouraged me from tweeting, and why he left. They said they want my help, but why not contact me directly? I asked about Danien, and they just kept repeating, he's safe, he's safe. They want my account. They consider it valuable for reasons they won't tell me. I said I'd consider if they told me why. They wouldn't budge, said that if the info is leaked in the wrong way it will, and I quote, ruin our chances of survival. The conflict must have ended somewhat peacefully, allowing TSV to leave with his phone and the account access. Days later, the group holding Danien asks how much of the contaminated water TSV has consumed. They explain that it works like mercury or lead poisoning, but it's not just a neurological agent. There is another mystery at play here, even as TSV deals with the knowledge that he's been poisoned. On May 12th, he tweeted, another photo showed up in the Remember album, showing a scene in winter from the time of sunlight. The Remember album is a curiosity that appeared on December 1st, 2018, in the midst of TSV's mental spiral at the water's edge. These were taken 4 years ago. For some reason they were in an album called Remember. Originally, there were 3 photos, but a new one appeared on January 21st, 2019, and now a 5th has materialized. But how is this possible? TSV doesn't even remember taking at least one of them. We have an alien invasion occurring that's blotted out the sun, and the arrival of new photos from a world in which the sun persists. This is definitely of importance, but in the absence of other evidence, we're unable to determine any meaning. Let's keep these photos in mind for later. TSV falls silent from May of 2019 until November. When he returns, it's with a major downturn in his mindset. I'm not strong enough. I can't help them. I can't save them. I can't save anyone, not even myself. I've been thinking for a long time. Would it even make a difference if I hadn't gone after Danien? Do the choices I make even fucking matter? Why even use this account? What is the point in tweeting to the void when there's nobody left? It is so quiet now. But the irony is, my head isn't quiet. It's like all of the weight of the world got crammed into my brain. They won't stop whispering in my head. I think the accident with my arm, I think it opened up something inside me.
Unlock your full creative potential. Go to fxhome.com now and download the only video editing software you'll ever need.
All my veins look like this. I feel like I have a fever. But at least I'm still alive, right? He's made it home, and everything is just as he left it. The survivors he met are gone. The group holding Danien haven't spoken. TSV spirals into despair. Updates become sporadic, and in March of 2020, he says, Danien is here. He's in the room with me. Look. He's standing behind me. I can see him in the mirror. Why can't you see? But at least I'm still alive, right? He's made it home, and everything is just as he left it. The survivors he met are gone. The group holding Danyan haven't spoken. TSV spirals into despair. Updates become sporadic, and in March of 2020, he says, Danyan is here. He's in the room with me. Look.
His hand looks so freaky. Maybe pareidolia or phantom agartha. Is that what it's called?
He's standing behind me. I can see him in the mirror. Why can't you see? Listen, 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 listen. The madness soon breaks, if only for a moment, and then he relapses as Tucker speaks. As contamination continues, it's not just repeating words and phrases. You start repeating past trauma, too. TSV calms down long enough to share screenshots from a group chat with other survivor Twitter accounts, which reveals a deeper horror. One of them, Nat, the lost son, has been taken over by the same group who captured Danyan, and their purpose is revealed. Their belief is that accounts like TSV are beacons for the world, encouraging reckless actions in others, and they must stop all resistance efforts against the invaders, because if they keep fighting, humanity may go extinct. They've even sabotaged military organizing efforts for the sake of their pursuit. TSV powers down in the wake of the revelations. For 6 months, he stays silent, and then speaks on October 24th, 2020. I think I'm beginning to understand. I can't just survive. I have to live. I just killed one of those things. We have a chance to fight against them. You can't hold Danyan's life over me anymore. This is what happened to my old phone. Text conversations, contact list, all gone. My only hope now is to reach out on Twitter to Tucker and find out where he went and track down the people who took Nat. From this point, everyone goes radio silent. TSV, Tucker, and the people, operating through Nat's account, Lost Son. The quiet lasts until October 29th of 2021, when this tweet appears. Nat's in safe hands. See the code to ensure protection. Extra letters are provided for the code in question, and Tucker picks up on the communication, quickly solving it. Remove TSV immediately. Tucker reaches out to TSV, and on November 12th, TSV responded. It's time. I have to step out of my silence. I know there's a lot of questions, and I'll try my best to explain everything I know. TSV explained several elements of the story so far, catching up those who are just tuning in or need their memory refreshed. His thread does come with some new information for us. The military fought these invaders for a while, but for some reason a global ceasefire was called. We still don't know where the troops or their governments went. They all disappeared. I never thought about it before, but it's suspicious that somehow the internet is still online, and electricity is still accessible in most cities and hubs. And yet the governments, news networks, any public officials from before the sun vanished are all gone. I think all of this is connected. We the people are the same group that called the ceasefire, the same group that took our friends. If that's true, they're powerful. What do they want to use this account for? Why are they taking our allies away? Are my friends still even alive? I wanted to stop using this account because I've been afraid that it puts me and my friends in more danger, but now these we the people put a hit out on me. Being quiet doesn't work, so it's time to be vocal. I'm gonna find my friends, dead or alive, even if it starts a war. I think I accidentally discovered a secret weapon. I was able to destroy one of the strobes. I'm not sure how or why, but something is different about me now. We the people should know that I'm not going to be fucked with. I'm going to try to find Tucker first, since he went after Nat, but I don't think he even knows where to look. But we will find a way. We will get Nat back, and maybe even Danyan too. On November 20th, TSV quote retweets one of his notes about having a surreal dream involving the campsite with Danyan, which included Tucker and Nat, or their bodies anyway. He says he's been having strange dreams like this for a while now, revisiting old places and lost memories. He wishes he still had the photo album from his dead phone, which is an important point for us to acknowledge. The Remember album is now gone. If TSV ends up getting more pictures on his new device, it will mean the rules of reality as we understand them in this situation can all be put into question. On December 27th, TSV said, Tucker finally reached out. He's in a city with signal that's not too far from me, only a couple hours. This is the first in a long time that I'll be going back out there. Not sure how ready I am for this. About my arm. It was excruciating for a long time, but the dark water made it sort of go away. Not sure how else to describe it, but my skin feels paper thin and my veins are dark and bulging. I've gotten used to it now. And with that, we're back on the chase with TSV, who is no longer just a scared survivor. He's equipped with the means to fight and has a new purpose. Where the story will go from here, and what mysteries will be revealed, is anyone's guess. Hayden Elliott, the creator of The Sun Vanished, released a proof-of-concept short film on YouTube a while ago under the channel They See Motion Studios. The majority of the short explores another story from the apocalyptic event, but if you're patient, you'll find ties to the original story. Beyond that, the only way to continue the journey is through following the account, and if you're not one to check Twitter every few hours, tapping the notify button. There are several points of brilliance about The Sun Vanished, some of which I remarked on in my original video years ago. The power to engage with the audience through polls, allowing them agency in the direction of the tale, is such a powerful touch. It can be thrilling to follow any narrative in this overall format, but providing interaction in this way, making each audience member somewhat responsible in the course of events, creates impact that the tale otherwise wouldn't have. Another touch to applaud is the use of other in-universe accounts, like Tucker's and Nat's, giving us unique perspectives on events and allowing for situations like the people abducting allies. While not explicitly necessary for following along, those who want more can read the timelines for these characters, filling them in on their journeys, and the glimpses of events throughout the world sent to them in messages by others. The Sun Vanished has had its active points and its hiatuses as TSV has gone through highs and lows, but through it all, I believe the narrative has stayed strong, unveiling more of the world cast into darkness and developing the tale beyond what others telling the narrative could drive it into. This very well could have ended up devolving into a story spinning its wheels against countless encounters with strobe light enemies and hostile survivors, but instead, it evolved to include new enemies, higher stakes, glimpses of new mysteries, and character development. I have a feeling that it's more than right to return for this next arc. It promises a return to form with a vengeance, and is not some re-energized continuation of a tale that already met an ending, but a true Part 2 embarking on the path towards its climax. I've enjoyed the journey of The Sun Vanished so far. I'm glad for its return, and I'm excited for what it will reveal to us in the coming months. That's all for tonight, everyone. Thanks to Hayden Elliott for making The Sun Vanished. Thanks to you for watching. And thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon.
So I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. It's a pretty cool ARG. Mind you, I don't really get into too many of them. I in my opinion, and this is by no means is meant to be rude or crude in any way, but you really have to have an overactive imagination when you're going through something like this. And it just, I really don't have one, so I just kind of go along with what, other people are agreeing with. Hate to sound like a follower, but trying to form my own opinion on this is really, like I'm kind of like stuck in between. So either way, though, the first time I had seen it, I was like, wow, it just blew my mind. It was crazy. So if you guys want to see part 2, I know hardly any of you leave, your comments or whatever, but if some of you do want to see part 2, please, by all means, let me know. Once again, let me just say, I don't have... Right now, my computer updated for some reason, and it completely just jacked up everything to where I cannot upload my videos in a polished manner to where I have my intro and my outro. It will not export the files, for shit. I don't know what the hell happened. So I'm probably going to go out and look for another computer. And, I mean, this one has 2 SSD drives and freaking... even a external, 2 terabyte SUN disk that just fell. But it's free of memory, so I think I have to just go buy another RAM card, something, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, let me know if you guys want to see part 2 of this and how this continues on. Until then, I hope you guys are having a safe and wonderful 4th of July. Please be safe out there. If you're drinking, get a ride from somebody who hasn't been. Don't be drinking and driving, man. Be safe, consider, the families that are taking their children out, to see these fireworks. And, you hear the terrible stories. Uber it, do Lyft, whatever you can do. Just don't take that risk, man. And also, handle those fireworks with extreme caution, because I remember the guy's name from the NFL. His name was Jason Pierre-Paul. And just go on Google and type in his name and put at the end, firecracker accident. And his hand will, it looks like it was in a garbage disposal or blender. That's how severely bad it was. So, viewer discretion is advised because it's pretty gruesome. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Holler at me and let me know what you think. And, yeah, like always, I will be back. So, peace.